Well, it's great to be back home. It was a long, arduous trip getting here. It took me 4 flights to get back to Cairns because I flew from Saigon at 3:30 in the afternoon. It was a 1.5 hour flight to Singapore, to Changi Airport. There we did a switch to another plane, which was the Dreamliner, which is quite a nice plane, I've got to say. Actually, if you're going to do long haul, that's the plane to do it in. So it had a screen I could check, had a little map at the back and everything I could check, and the luggage was carried from one plane to the other without me having to touch my checked luggage. So that was great. But the really bizarre thing about it is that I ended up having to go right back to Melbourne. It was about a 7-hour flight, and we ended up getting in on time around a little after 6 o'clock in the morning. And even though we had an air bridge going into the terminal, I could still feel a rush of cold air where the connector is to the air bridge. And I thought, I'm glad I don't have to walk out to the streets of Melbourne. And so basically I didn't, and I had to basically just go to the Qantas domestic because I decided to take two further flights back to Cairns. So we have to land in Brisbane, and then I do a connecting flight that take me the rest of the way, and they're both around two hours in duration, and that's with Qantas. So it was a full service airline situation, so the planes are quite good and what have you, and so I wanted a little bit of luxury on the way back. I could have got a Jetstar flight for the same price, which would have been a more direct flight, but I absolutely hate T4 terminal that much in Melbourne that I'd prefer to go the other way. And I got to admit the terminal was a hell of a lot better. The one that Qantas Domestic use, it's chalk and cheese compared to Jetstar. You even get a complimentary newspaper. You get a choice of things: it's the Herald Sun, the Australian, and I presume the Age. Are they still printing it? Yeah, I guess they are. Not that the company's around anymore because they're being subsumed by Nine. Fairfax is now a dead dog. Just been announced. So over about 190 years of history has just gone, and we may not be getting so much left-wing bias from the Age and Sydney Morning Herald in the future, seeing it's actually now run by, guess who? Peter Costello. So I've got a lot of time for Costello. I think he's a real smart cookie, so I'm quite happy about that. But the lefties will be screaming, but they always scream. They're the loud voice that people in Canberra listen to, unfortunately. Anyway, I digress. I'm not going to talk about politics. This is not about politics. It's about the trip. So it looked like I took 2 Qantas flights back to Cairns. Unfortunately, the flight from Melbourne was delayed by over an hour, and there was a very small window to make the next flight from Brisbane, and I missed the plane. And I was bulk pissed off when I was on that flight. And it's a bit unfair because the Qantas staff are excellent on board. I've got to say, the girl was really nice, the one that came with the food. She asked how I was, and I sort of bit my tongue. I thought, should I tell her the truth? And I decided not to, but I was so angry at that stage because I really just wanted to get home, and I knew that I may not get another flight that night or whatever. I might have to be in a hotel in Brisbane or whatever. And seeing it's a Qantas flight, I thought they'd look after me, they'd do something for me, but I just wanted to get back home. So I was dead right as far as the actual flight's concerned. There's no way I could have made that connecting flight. But they did sort it out for me, and as it turned out, I ended up getting to Cairns about 2.5 hours later than scheduled, so it wasn't too bad. And it was on a little dinky 717-200 jet, which I've never flown on. I think they only got about 150 capacity, so it's quite a small jet, but had a little bit of a drink and something I've never eaten before was really nice. It was macadamia and cranberry balls, and they were really tasty. I've got to find out where I can get them from. And again, the staff there were very nice, although it's almost impossible to hear what they're saying because it's quite a noisy plane. But going back to the first of those 2 flights, the one from Melbourne to Brisbane, the staff were excellent. The lady was really nice, and she told me how nice the food was, and I chose the dumplings, and they were quite tasty. But she was very, very pleasant, and I also got a beer as well. I could have wine or beer or a non-alcoholic drink, but that was good. So, you know, the Qantas service is good, and they did sort out my problem with the other plane. I was really worried about it, but there was a guy from Townsville who'd been through the drill before, and it's not, you just go to the service desk in Brisbane Airport, and the Qantas lady, they had 3 staff on, and the one I got was really helpful. She said, don't worry about the luggage, that'll all be put onto the next plane. And I was a bit dubious about that, but she said, no, it's not going to be an issue. So I didn't have to go through collecting luggage, which I was a bit concerned about. And they put me onto a flight that was leaving at around 4:30, as opposed to around a little after 2 from the original flight. So it really wasn't that bad. I was actually quite surprised. And I did get in just before 7 o'clock at night to Cairns. So it actually, and my luggage was there and everything worked out. So I was pretty happy considering, but gee, I was a grumpy bastard in that first leg. I was spewing because I just didn't know what the outcome would be. But to be fair, the Qantas did sort it out. They should have got, I got the feeling they were taking their time to get this plane. They had to get it from the international terminal. They obviously didn't have a plane available. There was one actually right next to where our gate was, but it wasn't being used. Anyway, this is what I confronted last night when I got home. And even though I couldn't really see them too well in the dark, look at that. The plants have survived and actually flourished. Those are tomato plants, unless I'm a total moron, when I could well be. The tomato plants are doing their flowers, and they're all doing okay. That's again the mint has taken the brunt of the damage. For some reason, the mint, even though I put a hell of a lot of those water crystals in there, it doesn't seem to have worked. These are green peppers, I think, but they're not doing as well as the ones here. Now they're green peppers as well, and that's another tomato. These green peppers are doing really well. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but I was very happy with the results. And also left this particular camera I'm shooting on at the last minute. I forgot to pack it, so I only took my GoPro to Vietnam on that last trip, so that was pretty dumb. But all in all, really well. It was really good to come home. I'm going to go to the pub today to watch a big match between Richmond and Collingwood. For some reason, we just don't get live coverage of Richmond matches up here. There must be, maybe it's a Collingwood supporter who's running the feed because they're trying to get back at us. But if they were Collingwood supporters, I think they want to see their own team. So I don't know. I don't know who it is, but I think someone's out to get us. But you know, I've got a bit of paranoia happening there. So, but look, I was so tired last night. Oh, the other thing too, the taxi driver was fascinating. Taxi drivers up here are great at the Cains taxis. The one that got me back home, he was from Switzerland originally, about 25 years ago or more, and he worked as a chef in Bangkok and Hanoi and several other places in Malaysia as well, I think. And he was a sous chef at one of these places, and he got a promotion. I think that was the one in Bangkok. So he's really well travelled. He knows a bit of Thai, but he didn't pick up Vietnamese. He was only in Hanoi for 1 year working there, but interesting guy to talk to, and he's very pleasant. And yeah, I've always enjoyed my taxi rides here. There's only one that was not so great, but overall it's been pretty good that way. But the bottom line is, when I got home about 7:30, I guess, I was so tired. I was so tired. I know I'm dog tired when I was on the plane and just shut my eyes and almost went into a dream state. And it's almost like I'm half hypnotised. So I knew I was absolutely stuffed because I only got a couple of hours sleep on the main leg between Singapore and Melbourne, and so there was a bit of a screaming kid, some noisy people around, and well, whatever reason, I only got about 2 hours sleep. So that's not really adequate. I need twice that to do minimum functioning. So I was really drained. So I got myself a feed at the local takeaway, had fish and chips, and I've got to say they tasted fantastic. So I don't know what I've had them before and I never finished them, but I gobbled the whole lot up. I actually had quite a decent appetite and had a chocolate bar, had a Snickers bar as well. So I got some extra food into me, and when about 9:30 I just hit the sack, and I didn't wake until 7:30 the following morning. And that is amazing for me. That is such a long sleep. I was that tired. I still don't feel 100%, but I would say I feel at least 90% now. I think yesterday I was down to about barely above 50, I would say. So it's a big improvement. Long trip over. I got some major medical treatment awaiting me, and I don't think I'm going to respond too well to that. So that's why I want to get this trip out while I was quite fit. I think my weight's reasonably good, but unfortunately it might be a little on the rough side for a few months down the track. And but I want to get my trip out of the way, and I do want to go back there if I'm feeling up to it. So we're going to try to look after myself, and fingers crossed things will be on the up and up. So that's my report about my latest trip that I've kept from you YouTubers, but I'll be putting all the details of all the footage from the trip probably onto my new channel. It might be a perfect opportunity to do a transition from the travel to from one channel, and I might just do comments on this particular channel, do a bit more talking head stuff. So we'll see how it goes anyway. But yeah, so things could have worked out a lot worse. It's not too bad. And just getting back into the routine today. So that's my report on my my return journey from my latest 3.5 week trip to Vietnam. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.